Okay, this next feature I want to show you is the data validation feature. So data validation is going to be super useful when multiple people are entering data on the same spreadsheet, or when there's just a high risk for you entering incorrect information just based on how your spreadsheet is set up. So for this feature and this practice, we're going to be on the reading tab again. And remember, that is where we had scores based on each question. One was for a correct response and 0 was for an incorrect response. So when you're looking at data validation, there's two different ways that you can utilize it. One is going to be before you ever enter data. You can set it up so that it will flag you if you're not meeting criteria that you have preset to go into the cells. And the other is for after you've put the data in, it helps you identify areas that may be red flag or just something that you need to make note of. So I'm going to start first by showing you um, before we enter data, setting it up so that it would flag us different ways. So in order to do that, I'm going to come down here to Alyssa, and I'm going to go ahead and clear out the scores that we have for her on her test. So I'm just going to clear the contents on that. And now we've got some blank cells that we can work with. So when you're on your spreadsheet and before you enter data, you're going to come here to the formatting ribbon and go over to data. Oh, before you do that though, you can still do that, but you want to highlight the cells. So I'm going to highlight all of Alyssa's cells. And then I'm going to click on this little box that says validate. So now I can set my validation criteria up. There's 3 different places that we can put information in, and I'll go over each one of those with you. So the first one is settings, and that's our validation criteria. And this says, okay, what do you want to allow in these cells without any warnings or anything else? So for the purposes of this spreadsheet, we're going to go in and we're going to do whole number. And you can choose any of these based on what you're looking for in your spreadsheet. But we're going to choose whole number. And the data that we're going to allow on the spreadsheet is we're going to say anything less than 2. Because remember, 1 is for correct response and 0 is for incorrect response. So that being said, now I've got my data set up. I can go over here to input message. And for your input message, I don't use it very often. I can see where it can come in handy in certain situations. You'll see really quickly for this situation right here, it would not do anything but probably annoy you, but I just want to show you what the feature is. So my title would be valid data. And then my input message is going to be enter 1 or 0. So when I say OK, since this is the input message and it says show input message when cell is selected, I'm going to click OK. And when I click OK, every time I come close and I click on any of these cells that I had highlighted, it's going to give me that message. So do you need that every single time you hit a cell? Probably not. But are there going to be certain times that maybe you want it for one particular cell, especially if there's multiple people in there? Yes, that would be when it would be good. So I'm going to come in here right now and I'm going to highlight all of that again. I'm going to click my validation box. I'm just going to uncheck show input message, and now that message won't show anymore when we click on the box. You can also just delete out your title or your input message as well. So where it's really helpful for data validation is going to be your error alerts. There are 3 different types of alerts. You've got your stop, your warning, and just an information. I'm going to start with the stop message, and I'm going to make the title invalid data. My error message, I'm going to put enter 1 or 0. And I'm going to say OK. And basically what I'm telling it is that I want it to show this message every time invalid data is entered. And I want it to stop me, so me or anyone else, so that we can't put in anything that's not valid. So click OK. And now whenever I go in and start entering a list of scores, I'm in a great big hurry because I've already put in the rest of the information. And I'm going to start flying through here. And I'm going to accidentally put 11 because I'm going super fast. And when I hit tab, it's going to stop me right there and say invalid data, this is all you can enter, retry or cancel. So if I hit retry, it keeps me in the box. I do it again, it tells me it will not let me put in anything other than a 1 or a 0. So if I hit cancel, then it just clears the box out altogether. So That's your stop message. For a warning, I'm going to go back through and highlight all of them. Click on validate again. And now I'm going to go down to warning. I'm going to go ahead and keep the same title and the same message in. And I'm going to click OK. And where stop would stop me and not let me go further, warning is going to let me know that I entered the information incorrectly, but it's going to say, do you want to continue? So if I say no, it's going to back me up. But if I enter that same thing, I can also say yes, and it will accept it, and you saw how it bumps over, and now I can just keep on putting information in. So that's the warning. It's not going to not let me put it in. It's just going to kind of ask me if I'm sure that I want to. And now I'm going to go back up here and show you the information. When I click the information tab, I'm going to keep the same information, the title and the error message, and click OK. And now when I'm typing in and hit 11, it's going to say, hey, that's wrong. Okay, keep going. And then you just keep on going. It's not going to stop you or anything or even ask you to make sure. It's just going to kind of give you a red flag like that's the wrong information. So that's how you have it preset so that it will flag you before you put information in to really watch for the criteria that you want in there. So I'm going to come back up here. To clear out your validation, just click on validation and then click clear all. When I do that, it's going to clear my error alert, it's going to take out my input message, and it's going to clear out the settings. So there is no longer any validation going on in these cells. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go through here real quick and just add some scores for Alyssa. And I did that 11. That's why I knew to use that as an example. And now Alyssa has her scores all the way back in. So that is the pre-filled data validation criteria. Now let's look at our column V, our total points correct. Okay, this is information that's already put in, and now I want to go in and I want to identify students who are scoring less than half of the questions correct. So I'm going to highlight this. I know that on this test there were 20 questions, so I'm going to use that in my data validation feature now. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to click on validate. I'm going to say I want to allow any whole number that is greater than, and there's 20 questions on the test, so I'm going to say greater than 10, and OK. I don't have to worry about an input message or errors because all of this is already put in there. So now no matter where I am in the spreadsheet, I don't have to be in this column at all. I can click this down arrow, I can say circle invalid data, and it's now going to highlight and circle just those cells. So you can see where that would come in handy if you've got multiple teachers sending you information. Instead of you trying to, eye all of it and figure out what it is, you can really quickly just have it circle that for you. To clear out those circles, just come back up to the arrows, say clear validation circle, and now it clears them out. The validation criteria still is set in this column though. So that is looking at data validation for pre-filled data that's already in, as well as the data when you're putting numbers in and you want it to flag you if you have incorrect information.